What's up, everybody? It's Stoise, and we're back from season 4, episode 5. What a long, strange trip it's been, and man, say that title, that title is definitely fitting. We have everything in this episode. We got monsters. We got Jade on drugs. We got Jade and Boyd in the tunnels. We got the girl in yellow fucking shit up. We is so much, and we got some answers. We got answers. I know that's what you guys been waiting on. They gave us a few, but we got a lot more questions coming. But let's go ahead, break this down. Episode 4, season 5. Let's do this. So we start with everybody that was over there at the settlement to get food. We start with them arguing about what they should do with what just flows to the top of the lake. At the end of the last episode, they showed us something floating to the top of the lake. So they're going back and forth. Donna's like, I think we need to bring those to shore to see what that is. A few people are like, those look like bodies out there. Roger's like, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we need to leave those out there. And so him and Donna have a little moment. Roger tells Donna, hey, listen, I know you run shit at the colony house, but we're not at the colony house no more. We got to take a vote out here. And everybody agrees with Donna to bring the whatever it is onto shore. Once they bring them onto shore, they see that they are indeed dolls, like rag dolls, scarecrow looking things, but they're life size. They're like human sized dolls. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when I saw that, I knew something wasn't right. Now, like it's one of those things, you see something. Why are these life size dogs, scarecrows, whatever this is, just chilling in a lake and then magically all of a sudden float to the top of the lake? Man, mm-mm, I knew it wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right, but hey, I trust Donna. Hey, we rock with Donna. I trust her, but I just knew something wasn't right. They pulled it out. They see these dolls. They decide to split them open. Donna cuts into it, sees nothing but stuffing. Sees nothing in there. She's trying to make sure there's nothing hidden in there, I guess. No artifacts in it. I don't know. But just be on the safe side. Then she thinks to herself, well, out loud, like, maybe we shouldn't have brought these things up. And Roger's sitting there like, I tried to tell you. But she's like, maybe, scarecrows are used to keep things away. Maybe these were down in the lake to prevent whatever is in that lake from coming up out of there. And that's a very valid point. I don't know if I would necessarily agree to that point, but that is a very valid point. I would have just thought somebody drowned them things in the lake to get away from it. So either way, put the shit back in the lake. I'm with you on that. During that time, we also get Ethan and Tabitha, and they're burying that little bird that Ethan found that he was trying to bring back to life. Unfortunately, it didn't work yet. Part of me still feels like somehow, some way, that bird is going to reappear later on down the line. It's going to work, or it's going to show something that Ethan was on the right page with his thinking. So I don't think that's the last we saw of that bird. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But also, one of you guys did mention, and I like this, that the man in yellow, the girl in yellow, Sophia, fell in that pool and broke her arm around the same time that Ethan found that bird with a broken wing. Maybe somehow how they correlate. One of you guys brought that to my attention, and I like that idea. Somewhere that might correlate somehow. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's keep an eye on what's going on with that. We never know in this town. We can't put anything past anybody. And now over at the post office, we get Jade and Boyd. And Jade is tripping off these mushrooms now. They finally kicked in, and man, say when they hit. This man gets up, he goes to the window, he sees the hotel sign lighting up, flashing, and on top of the arrow pointing, it says answers. Boy, when I tell you, okay, I see what you're doing, from. I see what y'all doing. But man, he sees that sign flashing. He sees the word answers. He starts tripping out. He sees all these spiders walking on the windows, crawling on him. He starts freaking out. Like, I'll give it to the directors. They really did their thing in this whole episode when it came to showing us Jade being high. Like, they really did a good job of showing us that blurry, hazy visual effect so that we kind of understand this is a trip that Jade's on. He's tripping out right now. And when he comes back to it, out when he snaps out of it for a second or two, they show him like it's still. There's no blurriness, there's no haziness. So shout out to the directors for that. I see what y'all do. I did like that. But Jade is tripping out. And basically he tells Boyd, hey, I need you to be my anchor during this trip. Like, I need you to pull me back when things start getting a little crazy. If you see me doing some crazy shit, I need you to pull me out. And the safe word is Capricorn. I don't know why he said Capricorn. Maybe he's a Capricorn. I don't know. But hey, I'm not gonna lie. I need more episodes with Jade and Boyd interact. I love the interaction between Jade and Boyd. This is not the last we see of it. Throughout this whole episode, we get a full episode of them two interacting together, and it's hilarious. I love every minute of it, man. Meanwhile, at the clinic, the clinic is becoming ground zero for some trauma. So Christy's helping Sophia with her arm still. She does the whole count to three. I'm gonna have to reset it. She goes on one, even though we've literally seen her, whatever, breaking their own arms to transform when it went from Maniela to Sophia. So I don't think that broken bone wasn't even broken anything. Played it well, but so we get that scene. We get Julie and Randall walking into the clinic. So Marielle leaves out to go get a brace because they just reset the girl's bones. As she's walking out, she sees Julie and Randall walking up to the clinic, and Marielle Marielle comments on Julie's hair. She says, "Oh, I see the haircut. It looks nice."
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
No, it doesn't. And don't tell that lie. Like, what's up with you? Why you lying? It doesn't look nice. It's really quite ugly. Don't tell that lie like that. But so we get them walking up. Marielle goes to the ambulance to grab the brace. And as she's going into it, she starts tweaking. It's 2 Chainz grab her arms and she gets pulled onto the ambulance. She hears the radio start up and she hears these cries of agony, reflecting back to when she was trapped in that chamber, when her, Julie, and Randall was trapped down there, chained up to the wall. That scene plays one in one with that. Hoo-wee. The man in yellow, Sophia, girl in yellow, now has 3 of her victims. And I'm assuming they're her victims. I'm assuming she's the one that was behind everything. I guess we don't know for sure yet still, but I'm assuming that the girl in yellow was the one behind those dungeon antics and being trapped down there, being tortured down there. So now she has 3 of her victims in close proximity. You got Marielle, you got Julie, and you got Randall. Hoo, I don't like that for nobody. Like, that can't be a coincidence. Like, and I'm honestly confused why Julie and Randall even went to the clinic to have this conversation. But it can't be a coincidence. And later on, we're going to see that the girl in yellow's plan is actually working. Remember, she said, "This is my favorite part." They start tearing each other apart. And everybody in that clinic starts arguing with each other. And the girl in yellow's in there feeding off of it. It's like it's like she enjoys that suffering. Then we cut back to Jade taking Boyd out to the woods, and Boyd's like, "What are we doing out here? What's going on?" And Jade's still tripping, still on this trip, looking around trying to figure it out. And then it hits him. Hey, I need to ask the right questions, not just give me these answers. I need to ask the right questions. And Jay says out loud, he says, "Show me what I used to know." And when I tell you, he got more than he can chew with that one statement. He suddenly hears a violin playing. He follows that music and he sees his younger self, young Jay, playing the song that he just heard. Violin, beautifully played. I mean, chef's kiss. Like, I don't know if the grown up actor Jade was playing the violin that time, and if the kid Jade is playing the violin that time, but if they are, they're talented. It was beautiful, man. But he walks up, he sees young Jade playing that violin, and it triggers to Jade like, that was me at 12. He says, I played that violin nonstop all day because my grandmother was passing, and I knew if I stopped, then she'll be no longer with us. They had the emotions in this episode too, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They had it all. As he's sitting there, he's freaking out like, "No, I didn't want to see that. I don't want to see that memory." He looks around and he looks at Boyd, and then he looks to his right. He sees the man with the eye missing that had that skull and the blood. He sees him, and the man says, "Nkui." What language were they speaking? Like, I really feel like now that we know what Nkui means, we understand that it means remember, then maybe they could just start saying remember. Do we need them to still say Nkui? Like, what language is it that they're speaking with that? I don't know. He tells Boyd, it's this creepy dude with a skull and blood in it that wants me to drink it. And he keeps saying Nkui. Boyd convinces him. Boyd eventually tells him, I mean, that means remember, right? Shit, drink the blood. And Jade goes to drink the blood. And I think everybody had a feeling that he had to do that. Once we saw that a few seasons ago, I think everybody had a feeling like he's going to have to drink that blood from the skull to remember what's really going on. So he drinks the blood from the skull and he instantly freaks out. He sees spiders coming out of it. He instantly freaks out. And young Jade looks at him as like, oh, fuck. Why did you do that? Because young Jade tried to tell him don't do it. And he did it anyways. And young Jade's like, fuck. I tried to tell you don't do it. Now you're going to remember everything. It's like he tells him you can't pick and choose your memories. Now Jade is going to remember everything, even things he doesn't want to remember. And fuck it, we here now. We need that. He needs to remember everything. So, young Jade, I understand you try to protect him, but this had to happen, man. This had to happen. And then they show us Fatima and Kenny. Kenny goes up there. He apologizes to Fatima for not believing her and not listening to her the first time when he first walked in and saw her doing whatever the fuck she was doing with this mud. And honestly, I understand Kenny here, but my whole takeaway from this scene was that Gollum, it's really starting to take form. It's really starting to take shape. And I'm just imagining what part is that going to play? It has to play a role. It's too much of a scene for them not to pay that off. Like, is it gonna come to life to protect Fatima and everybody else from the monsters, from Smiley? Because remember, in that scene, she says she's scared. She looks out every night. She's scared that one day she's going to look out and Smiley's going to be looking back at her. Is that Golem going to protect her from Smiley, from another Colony House massacre, possibly, from the Man in Yellow, from the we gonna see, but it's really starting to take shape, and I'm pretty sure that's going to play a big important role down the line somehow. Not quite sure just how yet, but I think it has to. Like they wouldn't keep focusing on this if they didn't. And so we have the scene with Kenny and Fatima. Then we have Kenny walking downstairs and he bumps into Henry and he has all this liquor in his hand. He has these boobs in his hand. And Henry said he needs to drink a stiff one. And I mean, can you blame him? He just found out from his son that he thought he lost decades ago that his mom, Henry's wife, Victor's mom, was killed in this town, and then her body was being eaten by this random man in yellow. And don't forget, Henry had a drinking problem before. Remember the first time when he lost everybody, they reflect on him having a drinking problem. So he's been doing good without it. But shit, I can't blame him. If I found out half the shit he found out right now this episode, I'll be right there drinking with him. So more power to you, Henry, man. Hey, we gonna get through this, but Henry's drinking and Victor goes in there eventually and tries to talk to Henry. Henry's drunk at this point. This is, a few minutes later. Henry's in there drunk and he looks at Victor like, what do you do for fun in this town? Let's get out. Let's go have some fun. Fuck me hiding, trying to survive another night from these monsters killing us. What is there to do for fun in this town? Victor tries to corral him. Henry gets up. He goes to the living room. He's causing the scene in there. He's all in people's personal space. This woman's trying to knit all her space. Got her space, Henry. Some dudes on the couch. They getting high. I thought Henry was gonna pick the bong up right there and hit it with them, honestly. But he sees a keyboard on the table. He goes over to the keyboard. He starts playing. And honestly, Henry was playing pretty decently for a drunk dude. You could tell he has some type of talent there. You could tell he knows what he's doing behind that keyboard. So, hey, he starts playing. It doesn't sound halfway bad. It doesn't sound halfway bad. But he's playing, he's breaking down while he's playing. Victor's trying to corral him. Eventually, Kenny comes in, tries to help him, and he goes off on Kenny. Who are you to tell me the XYZ? He's going off. He's causing the scene. He's causing the ruckus. I'm not going anywhere. Why don't you tell them what he did? Tell them what he did. He's chanting this over and over. And I have to say, I don't know your name right off the top of my head, but that actor playing Henry, this was a great scene. This was an amazing scene, man. Like I loved it. I loved it. I loved the emotion. I loved the uncomfortableness. You felt everybody's angst in that room. You saw Victor doing beautiful acting, not even saying a word in that scene right there in the living room, but you can see it all over his face. Yes. This was a very well acted scene. Shout out to the actor playing Henry. You did your thing in this one. You did your big one with this one. And again, like I've been saying all season, Henry, I'm really getting a bad feeling about your survivability in this season. I need you to relax. When he was at the table drunk saying, why are we in here hiding to not get eaten by these monsters? I just knew he was about to bolt out that house as soon as night came. I just knew he was out of there. But Kenny finally is able to get Henry. They take him up to the room eventually and they lay Henry in bed, recover, take a nap, be drunk. And Henry asks Victor, hey, what was that he was yelling about? Like, what did he mean by tell them what he did to her? And reluctantly, Victor pulls out that little Crayola drawing out of his pocket and he gives it to Kenny. And Kenny sees the drawing of the man in yellow eating Miranda, Henry's wife, Victor's mom. And man, say, Victor, For him to be drawing all of those things as he sees them, I cannot imagine his mindset right there. Like we people give Victor a hard time, and more you understand, bro. Victor done seen some shit, man. When we get back to the people at the lake, everybody's stuffing rocks into the dolls' bellies, stuffing boulders, wherever they can find to weigh these dolls down to put them back in the lake. As they're doing that, Tabitha and Ethan come back from burying the bird, and Tabitha starts helping out. Ethan starts helping out. As Tabitha's helping out, she starts to have a quick mini flashback, and it looks like they show her as a girl playing with these dolls or looking at these dolls or something like that. But she has a small flashback, and Donna, knowing about the Miranda visions and reincarnation and things like that, she pulls Tabitha to the side for a second and says, "Hey, what's going on? What can you tell me what happened?" And Tabitha tells her, "Yeah, I had a flashback, but I don't really know what that means." And Donna's like, "Hey, what do you remember? Tell me anything. What's in that water? Is there something in that water we should be afraid of?" So Donna's trying to just get some information from Tabitha. And Tabitha doesn't have the answers just yet, but you can tell something is starting to wake up in her. So that'll pay off later on down the line, but she doesn't have those answers just yet. Now this next Jade scene, this is when the ball is really starting to get going. So now we hear Jade hearing the violins again. This is after he drank the blood. This is after he saw the spiders. The boy tells him, "You shouldn't have done that." This is after all of that. We come to him hearing the violin, and he follows the sound of the music. Eventually, he sees young Jade in a field playing that violin. He walks over to young Jade. Young Jade stops playing, and the music keeps going for just a second. Jade looks over and he sees that scene we saw from the season 4 preview of all those people that once haunted him on the porch. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody has surmised that those were past iterations of Jade. Like we all kind of thought that he's seen past versions of himself. They're all on the porch, all playing that violin, playing that same song. Jade hasn't come to that realization yet, but we as the audience knows those are past versions of him. He asks Boyd, "Where are we at?" Boyd tells him, "We're at the colony house." Boyd still doesn't see any of this that Jade is seeing. Boyd doesn't see young Jade. Boyd doesn't see the past versions of Jade on the porch playing that violin, playing that song. He doesn't see any of that. He tells Jade, "Hey, we're at the colony house." And man say, young Jade tells Jade, older Jade, RJ, he tells him, "Hey, look at them directly." He tells him, "Look at them." He looks, he says, "Wait, these are all past me's. These are all me in the past, my past lives." And young Jade tells him, "Yes, some of them. Not all of them." So this whole time, this not even all of the versions of Jade that we've seen. This is all the versions we've seen, but this is not all the versions of Jade that's been in that town. We all had a feeling that Christopher was past him. We all had a feeling that the dude with the skull and the eye missing was past him. We even thought that the Confederate soldier was past him. So we had that feeling. Jade finally comes to that realization. And it's not just them, it's been plenty more. That kind of threw me off. How many times has this happened? I know we had a lot of cycles. I don't think we just knew exactly how many cycles there were. So this happens, and then Young Jay tells him, "Look closely at everybody. What do you see?" And after looking at each and every one of them, Jade realizes some horrifying information. The monsters didn't kill these people. The monsters didn't kill his past selves. The townspeople did. Bro, what? Jay says these people were murdered. And then he realizes that the townspeople murdered them. And the young Jade explains to him once the people in town learn who Jade really is and learn that these kids were trying to ask for his help, they turn on him. They stop trusting him. And eventually they murder him every time. And apparently, it's way worse what happens to Tabitha. We don't know what that means. We don't see that explained to us by the young Jade, but apparently, whatever happens to Tabitha is way worse. The only thing we know is that the monsters kill Miranda and then she's eaten by the man in yellow. So is young Jade saying that the man in yellow eating Tabitha is worse than these town people killing Jade? Is that what he's hinting at? I don't know. They giving us answers, y'all. We just have to be patient. Then we get Ethan and Donna. And I don't like any of this. So Ethan walks up, Donna's around the fire. She's, just trying to lighten the mood a little bit. Tells Ethan, wait, you didn't bring your marshmallows. They're having a little playful banter. I don't like this scene because we all love us some Donna. But Ethan asks Donna, are we going to be okay? I don't want Julie to be alone. And Donna, being who she is, eases Ethan. She says, hey, we're going to be fine. First thing in the morning, we're going to pack up and we're going to head back to town. And nothing about this scene feels good because the writing is on the wall. They're laying it on so heavy, the foreshadowing that Donna is about to be a pack. They're getting Donna out of here. At this point in the episode, I'm like, damn, I'm pretty sure, damn, we're about to lose Donna. I hate it. Then we cut back to the clinic. And when I tell you, tensions are building in this clinic. Julie and Randall are into it. Everybody's into it. They're back and forth. They're in the. Pause, time out. Why didn't they have this conversation on the bus? I don't know. Because Randall's not staying at the clinic, right? He's staying on the bus. Am I missing something? Am I forgetting something? But whatever. They go to the clinic and have this argument. They're back and forth. Randall's telling her, you're being stupid. Like, you're frying your brain every time you go in there and you're having these seizures and you don't know if what you're doing is even really working or doing a thing. You don't know if you're even going to be able to come back from this. Julie tells Randall he's just afraid of the ruins. I don't know how this escalates so quickly with them, but they're into it. Randall tells Julie, you're being stupid. Why are you doing this, Julie? I don't care. Julie says, I do not care. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my dad back. And then Randall, kind of a low blow, but he's kind of not lying. Randall tells Julie straight up, if your dad was here, he'll be disappointed at how dumb you look right now. Whew, that was kind of a low blow, Randall. Now, I don't think you're wrong, but you kind of hit a low blow right there. Julie didn't have shit to say. She couldn't say anything. Randall walks out. She just sitting there on stuck. The whole time they're arguing, Sophia's right outside the door enjoying all of this. Girl in yellow is sitting there eating this shit up. Like, she gets a kick out of this. Like, get her. I hate her. And then we walk with her over to the other part of the clinic where Christy and Marielle are. They're going back and forth because Christy walked out and found Marielle freaking out in the back of the ambulance. And Marielle refuses to tell Christy what's going on. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. Why are we not talking about things? Like, people are from Villians. Please talk to each other. Like, if we talk, a lot of this could probably get figured out quicker, but y'all not talking. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. So they're arguing. They're going back and forth. She walks out of the room and just so happens to bump into Sophia. The moment she does that, Sophia put her arm on her real quick, and Marielle loses again. She goes back instantly to that dungeon. She's chained up against the wall. She's screaming for dear life. She's hearing these people screaming. Christy finally walks out. But before Christy can even walk out, the girl in yellow is just standing there looking at it. And the look on her face was pure enjoyment. Like she was sitting there basking in this girl being tortured. Ooh, that's some evil shit. Christy eventually walks out. And I don't understand. Christy paused for like a millisecond, and I don't understand why. That confused me a little bit. But Christy paused for a second before eventually going over there to try to snap Marielle out of this trauma, out of this trance that she was in. But wow, I tell you, the girl in yellow was sitting there enjoying every moment of it. It's so freaky. Then eventually later on, we get Marielle, Christy, and Sophia. And Christy's asking Marielle, hey, can we talk about this now? Can you tell me what's going on? And Marielle reveals to her that she's hearing all of the dead people screaming. So everybody that's ever died in that town, she's hearing their screams and their calls for help. She heard it when she was in that dungeon chained up. She's heard it just now when she had these two instances. And she tells her that she doesn't even think that if they died, they're free. That people are dying here and they're still trapped here. This town is feeding off of their suffering. And the whole time, the girl in yellow is there eating it up. She tries to tell Marielle, maybe you're a prophet. Maybe you're meant to hear these things. Maybe God's will is having you hear these things. Man, say, there's some freaky stuff going on. And the girl in yellow, I know she's playing her role because she was supposed to be the pastor's, the priest's daughter. But for some reason, it does seem a little strange to me that she continues to bring up the Bible, God, these biblical stories and things like that. I don't know. I've seen a few of you theorize that the man in yellow is really Abraham and this is tying to him sacrificing his child or God testing him to sacrifice his child, especially after she told that story in the last episode. So maybe they tie into each other somehow. But all I know is we gotta get the girl in yellow the fuck up out of here immediately. We cut back real quick to young Jay. He's leading Boyd and current Jay, older Jay. He's leading them through the colony house into the basement. They go down to that basement. Boyd's the whole time talking to Jay, like, what's going on? What are we doing? Why are we here? He leads them to a blockage. Behind that blockage is a secret door. And for the first time in this episode, we get Boyd acknowledging seeing what Jade is also seeing. So that door is there. So they unblock that door and they open it. And man, say, this part is when it starts to get real. But we're going to get back to that. We cut over to the settlement and they're in the cabin. You know, it's nighttime. They got the talisman on the wall. They're protected. They're in the cabin. They're just talking. They're trying to pass the time, wondering how long it's going to be till morning. Whatever. Eventually, as they're talking, Tabitha hears this singing, and it's not only Tabitha. Everybody in the cabin hears this little girl's voice singing, and Tabitha finally starts to remember more and more. Tabitha hears the singing as well. She says, I know that. And when I tell you, listen, the episode, the horror is back. Some people have been complaining about no monsters and no horror. We're about to get this. So as they're sitting there talking, Tabitha says, I remember this. These dolls that we saw out of the lake earlier, they used to be my dolls. They were small, very tiny dolls in comparison to what we just saw. She said, I used to play with them. And an angry man one day came and took them from me, saying that they gave him nightmares. So he took them and threw them into the lake. Then one day he died and his nightmares came out of the lake. And we go back to that scene of her as a child looking up in horror about something coming down to her. Now, they don't say who this man was just a random townsperson that was out there with them. Why did he get so angry? Why was he so afraid of these dolls? I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line they're going to come back and answer those questions. But Tabitha saying those things came up out of the lake. I need to know what the fuck is going on. But as soon as she says that, she tells everybody, yo, we got to get out of here. It's not safe here. We got to leave. We got to get out of here. Everybody's like, what you mean? We got the talisman. Tabitha says it's not going to work. We got to leave. As soon as she says that, one of those dolls crashes through the side of the cabin. And it's all hell breaks loose. And they run up out of the cabin, everybody except for Roger. That thing came in and grabbed Roger and it's messing Roger up. Ellis, Ellis, he tries to help out here. He tries to save Roger. Man, when I tell you that thing brushed Ellis to the side, like, get up off me, Ellis finally realized he had a moment of realization, like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. I gotta get out of here. I gotta save myself. I got a wife, I got a dad, I gotta save myself. He gets up out of there. He locks the monster, he locks the doll into the house, or at least tries to lock the doll into that cabin with Roger. And when they show us the doll grabbing Roger and ripping his jaw off, I freaked out. And not too long ago, I just watched the movie Primate, and that same scene happened. If you watch that movie, you know that same type of scene happened where the monster ripped off the jaw. But not only did the monster rip Roger's jaw off, he proceeded to start messing with Roger's internals. I don't know how else to say that or put that, but if you saw, I'm pretty sure you saw, you know exactly what I mean. He ripped that man's jaw off, and then he started playing with his intestines. Like, what? Who? This is some shit. And then eventually they go outside, they run outside. And then Ellis catches up to everybody. They're all like, where's Patty at? Where's Patty? And they show her hiding in a bush, trying to hide from these dog monsters. And one walks up behind her, grabs her, and drags her to that open fire that Donna had and proceeds to put the side of her face in that fire. So not only are these ragdoll monsters killing people, they're also torturing people. Like, what? This is some wild shit, man. Like, this whole scene was brutal. Ellis did some work this episode. I'm not gonna knock him this episode. He appears with some big stick branch thing. He hits the monster behind the head and he lets go of the girl. Ellis grabs her. They run off. You see the dog monster falling into the fire and they're being lit on fire. 2 seconds later, they cut back to Donna, Tabitha, and Ethan. Tabitha looks at that little totem monster pole and something triggers in her. We don't know exactly what it is, but you can see something triggering in her. And as she's sitting there looking, Donna's telling her, hey, we got to get out of here. And a monster comes up from behind Donna and grabs Donna. I thought it was over with. I thought this was it. From writers, you had me going. The monster grabs Donna. It's choking the life out of Donna. She can't do anything. Then all of a sudden, Tabitha comes from behind and stabs the monster through the back directly to the front. I don't know if it was supposed to be through a heart or what. I don't know. But it gets the monster off Donna and it saves him for a while. And Donna's like, what happened? Tabitha says, I finally remembered how to kill them. And that's when she says, I remember how to kill them, who is them? Is it just these doll monsters? Is she talking about the nightmare monsters in the town? Can you kill them? Like, is it you have to stab them through like their heart, their back? But like, what is it? You have to use one of those totem pole things to stab them. I need to know. But when she says, I remember how to kill them, who is it them she's talking about? And at this very moment she says that, Ellis and the girl comes up, her face is still burnt. You see that other monster that burnt her walking up, hands on fire. The monster just stops and then turns around. I don't know why. Did the monster see that the other one was killed? Remember when Boyd killed Smiley? None of the other monsters attacked them. They just stopped, looked at it in confusion. So is that the same thing going on with these doll monsters? Did they see one of their own dead and be like, what the hell? Is Tabitha keeping them away somehow? We need to know. But knowing how to kill something changes everything. At least we think it is. We thought Boy knew how to kill the monsters. Hopefully Tabitha really knows what she's talking about now. But if that works, this changes everything. And finally, we get Jade walking through those tunnels. Now, Boyd was with him at first, but somehow Boyd disappears. We get Jade walking through this relatively well lit tunnel, lanterns still lit, spiders all over the place. And whenever I see stuff like that in movies and TV shows, I'm like, who's lighting these lanterns? Like, why are these lanterns still lit? But TV match, whatever. Jade walks down this long corridor tunnel until he gets to the monster tunnel. He goes in the monster tunnels. He realizes Boyd is not with him. He's in there loud as hell, just like Kenny was. That pissed me off to start the season. He's loud as hell in these monster tunnels. He's screaming, Boyd, Boyd, where are you? Boyd, Boyd. Eventually, Boyd jump scares everybody. And he's right there. He pops up on Jay like, hey, we got to go. We got to get out here. We shouldn't be here. Jay's giving him some pushback. Boyd said, hey, no, Capricorn. Remember, Capricorn was the safe word. Capricorn was the word that if Boyd said it, Jade heard it and okay, this is done. We're getting out of here. Boyd says, Capricorn, let's go. I'm going to drag you out of here if you don't come with me. So Jade reluctantly agrees. And as they're beginning to walk out, young Jade again appears. And RJ, current Jade, says, fuck it. He goes to follow young Jade. As he goes to follow young Jade, they're into this cave. This is the cave apparently where the kids were sacrificed. Now, Jade had these visions before, if I'm not mistaken, of seeing this area. Remember, he even went down in those tunnels before, a long time ago. Jade been in those tunnels before. So he's familiar with the place that the kids were sacrificed. He says, this is where the kids were sacrificed, but what does this mean? How does this help me? Like in this whole, the atmosphere in this whole scene was crazy. It was spooky. It gave me chill bumps, gave me goosebumps. It was crazy. It was thick. He's in there. I don't know what. Like, how does this help me? How does this help me? Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you hear, "Hi, Jane." You hear, "You should have listened to Boyd, but you were never really the smart one." And the monsters appear out of nowhere and they're grabbing Jade. They drag Jade into the center of this circle with the slabs. The center of the circle, there's an open grave type of thing in the center of this circle. They grab him, they throw him in there, and then they cover him up with a stone. Whew, my anxiety was on 20 right now. They cover him up with that stone. As he's in there, he's freaking out. He looks down, he sees one of those Ankui kids, and the kid says Ankui. And my anxiety was through the roof at this point. The kid says Ankui, and then it cuts to Jade waking up in the post office. What? Jade's in the post office freaking out. Boy walks up and snaps him out of it. Whole time, Jay's like, what's going on? Why are we here? What's happening? Whole time, they never even left the post office, dog. Bro, man say, whew, they never even left the post office. Jade saw the sign He freaked out. He sat down. And Boyd says he's been in that chair ever since. So this whole time, this whole episode, when Jade is doing all this tripping, we think we're going with him. We think he's walking through the town, walking through the village, walking through the tunnels. The whole time he's been in that post office, in that chair, still tripping. This was amazing writing by those from writers. This episode was amazing writing because I had no idea that Jay didn't go anywhere. There was no hints. Like I, the whole time, thought that this was actually happening. So the whole time he's imagining Boyd being the anchor. The whole time when Boyd's saying, "Hey, what's going on?" is really Jade anchoring himself, but just using Boyd as that stand-in. And it starts to make sense why he walked down those tunnels and Boyd was nowhere to be found. And then all of a sudden he's there. I loved it. I loved it. That was a beautifully done reveal. Great work right there. I loved it. But Jade and Boyd are talking. Jade tells Boyd, I figured it out. I know how to save the children. I know how we can get home. Jade figured it out. This is the first time that anybody's even said, I know how to get home. We might think we know how. Jade seems like he's confident in, I know how to get us home. This is a huge breakthrough. This is huge. Overall, phenomenal episode. I loved it. Amazing horror, amazing lore dumps, amazing acting. This is just all around was a great episode. And this is, I'm trying to think, but I think this might have been the most important episode we've had in maybe 2 seasons. This episode did a lot. And when I tell you a lot, it did a lot. But I need y'all to let me know how y'all felt in the comments because we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot still in front of us. They're not stopping, man. They're really just getting started because now we got these questions about Tabitha. What did she see? What does she mean by I know how to kill them? Who is the them? We got these questions about the townspeople and killing Jade. Like, what made them turn on Jade so quickly? Why did they kill Jade? And are the people in town that we're with now going to try to do that same thing? But does Jade knowing this, can this help him prevent that? And when young Jade said Tabitha's fate was much, much worse, basically, what do you mean by that? Like, is it just the fact that she's going to get eaten by the man in yellow? Is that like what he means by worse? We have so much in front of us. And I love that we're getting these answers more and more. But like we already knew, with more answers, there's going to be more questions. But like I said, overall, great episode. I loved it. I think I give it 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10 lowest. I'm not going no lower than a 9, and I'm not arguing with you about it. Not going back and forth with you about this. But for me personally, this is a 10 out of 10 episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Comment, like, subscribe, share the video, pass this to a friend that watches from. We in this thing for the long haul. We're back. We're here. We have a off week next week. They're not giving us an episode next week. If I remember correctly, I looked at the schedule. I think they're off next week and we're back the week following, which they gave us a lot to digest in this episode, so I guess. But y'all let me know what y'all think. It's your boy Stoise. It's Euphoric Trip. We're here.